Sunday morning, I did my clean today. I didn't do it yesterday because I had other things to do. And so I went over and started cleaning, then I went to Morrison's, then I came up, finished cleaning, and then here I am. So my Morrison's haul today came to a grand total of £2.53. Didn't get a whole lot, there wasn't much in. To tell you what, the store on Sundays, I think the manager who used to be there, who was really bossy, you'd see him, or you'd hear him before you saw him. He was very loud and very bossy. But the store was always organised, and he's not there anymore. And the store is a tip. On Sundays, you got half the shelves empty, there are boxes in the aisles, they don't come and open the tills on time at 10 o'clock, so everyone's like queues of people standing waiting for it to open at 10 o'clock. They're just really starting to lose it. So it's really starting to go downhill there. So I got a few bits, nothing really dramatic. What did I get? I had quite a few egg noodles. These were £1.29 down to 39p. These will do a lunch and dinner, but sometimes I just eat a lot. There were quite a few of them there, so I bought 3 because you can freeze these. So I'm going to put 2 in the freezer and have 1 today. There was also quite a lot of celery. These were 75p down to 23p. So I bought 2 of those. They go nice in stir fries and stuff. And then they had some Yo Valley organic lemon curd yoghurt. These were £1.50 down to 45p. So I bought 2 of those because lemon curd yoghurt sounds good to me. And that's it. That is the lot. Morrison's are doing an advent calendar thing on the app for Christmas starting today. So every day you shop, you get to open a little advent window. So I opened mine after I scanned my club card, my Morrison's card today, and I've got a free bag of crisps of some description that I need to buy by the 3rd, which is great because Tuesday evenings is when I go in, and that will be the 3rd. So I'm going to get some free food next time, and that's it. What else is going on? Not much going on at the moment. I did yesterday, I went and picked up my new phone, and it took me almost all of yesterday to try and get it set up. Because they have this thing called Smart Switch where you can link the phones together, you can pair them, and you can drop everything from your old phone onto your new one. But you can only do that if you've got Wi-Fi, and I don't have Wi-Fi, so I have to plug them in together, and they give you a little gadget that enables you to plug the phones together. And what I didn't realise is that the new Samsung, the new one I've now got, doesn't use the same cable as the Samsung S7. So I'm learning all sorts of things about that. I will probably do something separate about the phone. I'm still setting it up. It took ages for it to drop everything in because I didn't realise I had something like 80 apps on my phone and other information that it dropped down, because I do so many surveys and do so much banking and stuff like that. So it took hours for it to drop everything in. But once it was done, it looks like my old phone on my new phone. So it's done everything. It's transferred everything, all the passwords, all the apps, into all the folders that I had them in on my desktop, and it's recreated all my desktops and things. So that's fantastic. I haven't made the phone live yet. I'm waiting for a new case that I've ordered on eBay because the phone sizes are slightly different. So at the moment I'm tethering it to my original phone with like Wi-Fi hotspots so that I can use the new phone, but it just doesn't have the SIM card in it yet. If you don't know phones, you won't know what I'm talking about. But it basically means I'm using both phones at once, so I can then look at my new phone and check that everything is properly working before I shut the other one down. Anyway, so that's going to be the rest of today, I think. I have a hike to edit. Got really behind. Yeah, and that's it. Sunday, another weekend is almost over. It's gone so fast. It's a very dull Monday morning. When I got up, and I'm getting up later at the moment because it's so dark, I think I've woken up really early. So I probably woke up by 7:30, which is a fairly standard waking up time for me. And I kind of laid there for a bit, and seemed quite quiet. So I looked at the time, and it was 7:50. And I partially opened the curtain, as I normally do, and then lay back down in bed just so I can climatise to the light. And it was almost dark. It's like 9:30 now, and it's light enough that I can record at my main front room window. But the rest of the flat is really dark. Look what happens when I go into the flat. This is what it's like all through the flat. So I'm in my prime recording position here. I broke into this yoghurt last night, Yo Valley lemon curd. Now, I heard that flavoured yoghurts were all UPFs, but when I looked at the ingredients on this one, there is nothing in there that I couldn't find in my kitchen as a kitchen ingredient, and that is one of the rules they use with UPFs. If there's something in the ingredients, or there are things in the ingredients that you couldn't find in your kitchen as an ingredient to make something with, then it's a UPF. And this doesn't have any of it, so I'm quite impressed about that. The lemon flavour is actually lemon. And it really tastes like lemon curd. It's so good. So my stopping of UPFs is turning out to be quite an interesting journey, actually. The first things I stopped doing were having sweetener in my coffee. I wasn't having sugar. I was buying this kind of cheap, nasty Sainsbury's version of maple syrup, which obviously isn't maple syrup because it's dead cheap. And I use it for baking, but I started putting it in coffee in the morning. And as time went on, over quite a long period of time, I was putting more in every morning as I became acclimatised to the taste of it. Because the more of these fake tastes that you have in your food, the more you want. It's like a drug. You start off with maybe having one joint at the weekend, then it will be 2, then you'll need 4, then you'll need them every morning. And it's exactly the same thing. The way your body and your brain, particularly the way it's triggered, becomes so acclimatised that you have to have more of the thing to make it have the same effect. And when I realised how much my weight was going up, I thought, well, the first thing I need to do is cut out the extra sugar. So I stopped having that at all, and I had ordinary coffee, and discovered how much I don't like coffee. So I don't have coffee anymore. I'm just having normal tea in the morning. And the other thing I was cutting out was stop buying shop-bought cakes. They are the most depressing thing ever. I had a bite of one of the Morrison's best of cakes the other day, and oh my god, it tastes appalling. It was just loaded with claggy, sugary tastes. It looked like a nice cake, but it tasted so depressing. It was horrible. And whereas before I would have eaten a whole slice of that easily and probably gone back for seconds, I had a bite of it and I was like, that's just horrible. It's just horrible. I've also banned most of the bread products. I still have the odd thing. I tend to put them in the freezer as, you know, extra items in case I'm short of particular foods. Like, I used to hoard a lot of food. So I used to have what I would call an emergency break glass snack box. And all the freebies and the really cheap deals that I would get in the junk food aisles, like chocolate and crisps and things like that, would go into that box. So when I got the urge to snack, I'd just go and raid the box. That box has not existed now for more than half of this year. I stopped replenishing it, mostly because I wasn't getting any of the free or cheap deals on the apps anymore, and it's not the sort of stuff that you see on yellow sticker very often, because it's the kind of product that will last on the shelf for 6 months, so they always manage to sell them. They don't end up being remaindered, because they have so many preservatives and things in them that they just last forever. But I don't have that anymore. And I've noticed that I have less in my stock cupboard now. There is less in my freezers at the moment, because I've noticed I've become a lot less fixated on food. So I do intermittent fasting, so I don't have breakfast in the morning. And when I got to the point where my weight was at its heaviest and I was at my most out of control, I had started to, like, 11:30, I'll just have a little something while I'm cooking lunch. And then it was 11 o'clock, and then it was 10:45, and that whole intermittent fasting thing was going out the window. So I'm supposed to have lunch at 12, and then I eat round until about 6:30 at the latest, 6:30 at a push. And I was starting to notice that I was starting to snack at a little bit of 7, then it was 8, and it was just totally just going wrong. So having given up the sugar almost entirely, pretty much stopped the snacking, I've become less fixated on meal time. So now lunch, which normally I'd be so fixated on lunch that I'd start preparing it at 11:30 because I had to have lunch at 12 o'clock. Now if I'm busy, I let it slide, and it might be that I'm not having it until 12:10, sometimes 12:30, sometimes even later than that. Tea I still try and keep at 4 o'clock, as it always was, and I have a cut-off now. My cut-off really is now about 5:30. There's the odd evening where I just get a crave for something else at about 6:30, and I might have a little something, but it won't be chocolate or fake bread or anything like that. And I've noticed that I have stopped thinking about food as much. I am less fixated on it as a thing that I do when I have nothing else to do. So now if I have a lull in work or I'm not doing very much, instead of reaching for the kitchen cupboard door to see what's there, I'll get on my treadmill, my walking pad, and I'll watch a YouTube video and I'll walk it off. And I think that's helped as well, because I've seen such good results from doing the walking and the weight loss that I've had so far. I am seeing positive results. So physically, I'm seeing positive results because I'm doing more exercise. Month 1, I was aiming for 10,000 steps a day. Month 2, I am aiming for 13,000 a day. And I'm going to keep stepping it up depending on how my body reacts. Because as you go along, as you exercise more and as you diet more, whatever else it is you're doing, your body starts to fight back by realising what you're trying to do and then hanging on to all the fat you're trying to lose, because it's like a feast or famine situation. So in order to burn more, I will probably have to, so in order to lose more weight, I will probably have to burn more calories incrementally to outpace my body trying to hang on to it. So I've stepped up for month 2 to 13,000. It's not always a guarantee. Sometimes I have done 10, but there have been days where, like, when I've been out on hikes and things, where I've done maybe 17,000 steps. So I'm hoping it will balance out when I get to the end of month 2, which as of recording this is almost 2 weeks away, about 12 days, 11 days, and I will add it all up and work out what I've done, and then I'll do a weight measurement. I've noticed I've got my waistline back, my waist is starting to come back. I feel I have more energy. I don't get any of those energy slumps that I used to, because I'm not having that awful sugary coffee first thing in the morning, which causes energy highs because you've eaten all that sugar, and then because it's the kind of sugar that your body processes really fast, and then you have a crash, and that's why you get an energy slump. I don't have any of those anymore. I used to get them really badly when I was doing cleans, because I was having that stupid coffee first thing in the morning. Then I'd be going off in the morning and doing a 3-hour clean, and I'd just be struggling so badly. And I don't have that anymore. I feel more alert. I just feel busier and more with it. So that's where we sit at the moment with the UPF journey. And I know somebody mentioned in the comments that they were here to find out about the UPF thing. So I thought I would do an update on that. It's going really well. And I feel that whereas, 2 months ago, before I got my walking pad, and when I had only just decided I'd reached my snapping point and I had to stop eating the way I was eating, I couldn't imagine how I was going to overcome this, because I couldn't stop with the food. I couldn't switch off to it. It was such an addiction, and it's a low-level version of how drug addicts feel, and people on alcohol and smokers. Is you're stuck in this cycle of needing this thing that you don't really need. Your body doesn't need it, but you just cannot imagine how you can stop. Once I started to take the steps, I dealt with the sugar problem. I reined in the eating, and that was hard because that obsession stays with you for a bit. Although it didn't take as long as I thought to stop. Once I cut out that morning coffee with all that fake sugar in it, it wasn't too long before I started to feel better. And once that walking pad turned up and I really felt that I was taking control of my exercise levels and had something else to puncture my day with, rather than just, oh, I have nothing to do for 5 minutes, let's see what's in the kitchen, I really felt that I'd taken control of it. And now I can kind of remember how it felt to be that under the control of food like that. But I feel completely released from it. It's really strange. And it didn't take that long. You just have to take that first step, but you have to embrace the whole thing. If you're going to do it, you've got to completely do it. So I don't really have any of that stuff in the house anymore. I don't buy it. I wouldn't say my food bill's gone down, because prices are still continuing to rise, and at the moment I'm seeing less deals on the shelves, which mean I'm having to be a bit more careful about the food that I do have, so now that I'm not snacking, my food is lasting longer in the cupboards and in the freezer and in the fridge and whatever. So I'm getting better at having smaller portions. I'm less obsessed by it all, and it's all going in the right direction, and I feel so glad that I've put the things in place that I need to make those improvements. So I'm really hoping I get a positive weight loss result at the end of this month too, which will be the middle of December, and that'll help. Even if it's just a couple of pounds or something, I don't expect it, because that first month had been a massive shock to my system. Suddenly the sugar's gone. Suddenly I'm walking 5 miles a day from doing like 5 miles a week, and it was just a shock to the system. Of course it's going to have a massive effect, but I don't expect it to stay like that. So as long as I've lost a little bit more, that would be nice. And I know that if I continue to eat less calories and continue to burn a high number of calories, somewhere along the line that will do the maths for me. If you eat less calories than you burn, then you will lose weight. But it depends what those breaking points are for your particular body, for your metabolism, for the way you work. I lead a very sedentary life because I work from home most of the time, and particularly at this time of year when I can't go out hiking once a week. I can't go out and do all those things I was doing. It's tipping it down. It's going to be tipping it down all week. I'm only going out when I have to. So having the walking pad means that I can get all those miles in that I would have walked outside. I know it's not the same as being outside, but I'm still doing the walking. And I feel so much better. I feel more limber. I have more movement in my joints. I don't feel stiff. It's working. Everything that I'm doing at the moment is going in the right direction. And mentally, I just feel that I've taken control. I've taken the reins back, and I've said I'm not doing that anymore. I won't be conned by retailers who want to get me hooked on really dreadful excuses for food, and I'm glad that I've been able to rise above that. But you know, it can be hard work. It's easier for me because I live on my own. I don't have other people in the house who want to continue eating like that. I don't have the pressures of going to the pub at the weekend with partners and friends, or going out to eat all the time. I don't have any of that. I can streamline my life the way I need to, and that's just been very helpful because I'm in full control, and that's how I need it to be if I'm going to win this battle. So that's my little update. It's going really, really well. I have overcome my UPF sugary food addiction. It's a low-level addiction, but I was going entirely in the wrong direction. My health was going downhill. My weight was climbing. I know that my cholesterol levels are borderline. Well, they were a few months ago when I was last tested. And this all needed dealing with seriously. I do not I do not want to end up in my older years like so many of the people around me who I see who are elderly and sick and unable to walk because their weight is now so bad and their health is so bad that they've reached the point of no return. They can't stop it now. That frightens me, because I don't want to end up being that 80-year-old who can't get out of a chair. Very worrying. I do not want to be that person. So I've taken those steps and onwards and upwards. So I thought I'd give you that update. Maybe it's an inspiration. Maybe you're just interested in how I'm doing. Maybe you've already done it. But that's my update. So I thought I'd throw that in there as an aside. I'm waiting for my car to defrost. It's Tuesday morning. Front windscreen is frozen solid inside and out. So while I'm waiting for the engine to warm up so that I can get off and go and do what I need to do, I want to just say one or two things very quickly about a video I posted probably about a week, 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure when this post is going to come out, but that post came out end of November, I think. Might have been beginning of December. And I had mentioned my mother's political leanings. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about the politics of it. My channel is about my life. So I talk about things here that I want to talk about. I started my YouTube channel as a talking therapy, and that's what it is. So if something happens, or there's something I want to say that's either, you know, important to me, has affected me, or something that I think might help other people, I talk about it. So I talked about this thing, and I don't go in and look at comments very often. You have to really mentally prepare yourself for the comments channels on YouTube generally. And honestly, YouTube doesn't pay me enough to read hundreds of messages every day. So I tend not to bother. So I put this post up, and then I walked away for a few days, and then I thought I'll just dip in and have a look. And there were a lot of posts. There wasn't that many. I mean, it could have blown up far worse, but why would it? I mean, everyone's talking about political stuff at the moment. And there were a lot of very angry people. And I'm sure that if we had been talking about Labour, and we were disparaging Labour, then it would have been fine, or disparaging the Tories. But we weren't. We were talking about US politics. And some people just lost their minds. And it was really weird, because I was scrolling through the comments and I realised very quickly that because I hadn't responded to any of them, I didn't need to. There didn't seem any point, because no one was listening to anybody anyway. And as I went through the comments, everyone was just fighting amongst themselves. Everyone was having a go at each other. and there were a few people who ceremoniously announced they were unsubbing from me, and one or two who said they were unsubbing and then kept commenting. So I've given them a little push, because when you announce that and then you have to keep coming back to add another comment, you need help going, obviously. I mean, if I watch a video that I don't like, maybe it's just not very interesting, maybe it's just a bit boring, maybe it's too long, maybe it's talking about something I don't agree with or I'm not interested in, I don't post a comment on it, I just skip to the next video. And the sorts of comments that were coming out just weren't worth the effort. So I answered one or two who were more interested in having actual conversations, and then I just left the rest, and I just left them all to it. And then 2 days later another video came out, because I have them all scheduled, and no one's commented since, and that's been the end of it. So it's like a drop of water in a fishbowl. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that it's my channel. People were saying they were unsubscribing because I talked about politics. I've had a channel for 2 years now, and I've talked about politics, I think, maybe 2 or 3 times. I mean, everything you talk about is related to politics somehow, because politics governs our lives in one way or another. I talk about universal credit, and it's fine for me to talk about that, it being a very political subject, but as soon as I talk about actual politics, people get upset. It won't stop me talking about those subjects if they are relevant to what's going on in my life. Normally they're not, so fine. I have no political affiliations. I sit on the fence in everything. I think that all politicians are basically the same. They're feathering their own nests. They're basically all liars. They have no grip on reality. So I don't swing either way. I don't watch or read any news channels. I get most of my information, funnily enough, from YouTube. So I don't lean either way on anything. I prefer middle ground. I like to read about both sides. But there were a lot of assumptions made in that video. Some people were annoyed, saying that I shouldn't have shut down my mother talking about politics and about what she preferred. She accused me of being woke, which I don't think she even understands what the term woke means. This is what it actually means. It comes from the 1930s, and it was a term used by black African Americans, and it doesn't mean what you think it means. It's now become a term of insult, but that's not what it means. Anyway, I don't talk about politics I have a hard rule. Don't talk about politics to family, friends, or acquaintances, because it always ends badly. So I would always steer the conversation away from it, or just shut it down, always, without fail. And none of my friends are interested in talking about politics. Nobody I know in real life uses YouTube. My parents think that social media is dangerous. My brother has no interest in it. My sister-in-law uses TikTok, and I don't think any of my friends use YouTube. They have busy lives. They have more important things to do than sit and look at YouTube. So I don't know anyone who uses YouTube, and I never tell people that I know in real life that I have a YouTube channel. I like the anonymity of being able to talk this out and knowing that no one's going to stop me in the street and go, or call me up and say, did you just say that on your YouTube channel? Because nobody knows I have one. I have no interest in people knowing about it. The whole point of this is that it is anonymous. Nobody knows. Nobody knows who I really am. You can make whatever assumptions you like. Anyway, so that's all I'm going to say on the subject. That post has been and gone. I haven't taken down any of the comments at all. I've left them all up. I've got rid of a few people because honestly it's a bit petty, And that's the end of it. So just wanted to throw that in there. I'm not doing it as a separate post, there's no point. If you watch my regular weekly updates, you will see this, and you know, comment if you like. And that's it. That's all I had to say about that. So now I need to get this screen defrosted properly. My God, that's still solid. Right, I need to get going. Catch you later. Bye bye. It's Wednesday morning and I went and did my Tuesday evening clean and went to Morrison's. But I tell you what, talking about what I've bought on a Tuesday evening when I've just got back from a clean and it's cold and it's really dark, the lighting is absolutely dreadful in here at night. The main light on, they're just not designed for it. And all I want to do is get into my bedclothes and get a hot water bottle and sit in front of the TV and get on with some surveys work and just warm up. So I'm fed up with the routine of doing that, so I might start doing it at some point on Wednesdays. I'm going to do it this morning because my Wednesday routine has changed. So I was asked earlier in the week if I could go and clean for my Wednesday people on Thursday because they have someone else coming in to the house this morning to do a falls assessment, because the lady of the house, she falls quite a lot. She's always having to call the emergency people to come and pick her up. They have this service that they're part of and they wear these buttons around their necks, and if they fall they have to come and pick her up because she can't get up and her husband can't do it because he's in a worse state than she is. So the lady is coming apparently today to do an assessment of all the trip hazards in the house that she keeps falling over. So I'm going tomorrow morning instead. But I did a little Morrison's haul, not much of a haul. No vegetables in again, apart from one thing. But because I'm going tomorrow to do my clean, I'm going to go to Sainsbury's on the way back and pick up a few things with nectar points. I've got to go in and get a couple of things. Anyway, I've got to go and get all the cards and bits that I need for my friend's birthday and whatever. So I'm going to pop in there on the way back. Because I'm really getting low on vegetables now. It's just silly. There's just nothing in the shops at the moment. And I don't want to pay for it. It's as simple as that. Well, I don't want to pay for it. Can't pay for it. It's a bit of everything. Anyway, so I spent a total of £3.75 yesterday, but it was reduced to £2.45, and you will find out why in a second. So I did go to the chilled discount aisle because I normally buy like a sandwich or something, because Wednesday I'll have breakfast before I go out, and then by the time I get back from my clean it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock, so I don't want to make lunch, it's too late, but I want something, so I tend to buy a discount sandwich. This is a chicken salad sandwich, and although I'm not going until tomorrow, this will last. So this was £2.60 down to 65p. I saw some more noodles. These were £1.29 down to 33p. I'm going to have those today. There were some potatoes, which were £1.55 down to 39p. So I bought those because I'm always using potatoes. So there was some cheese. Now, I'm afraid I broke into one of these last night. This is a Mexicana, which is a bit of a spicy one. And that bit I had last night, I have to say, it was spicy, but it'll be okay. Mexicana cheese was £2.48 down to 62p, and there was also some double Gloucester with onion. I've got some fancy ones at the moment. This was £1.82 down to 46p. And then the other thing I got was these, which I would never normally buy, but I think I mentioned the other day that Morrison's is doing an advent calendar on the Morrison's More app, and you open a door every day and you'll get a freebie or some points or some discounts or something. So they were offering a bag of Morrison's The Best Crisps. This is the 125 gram bag for free, and you got to pick from the various flavours. So I have basically, it's fancy. It says sea salt and Suffolk cider vinegar. It's basically salt and vinegar crisps. But I very rarely have crisps now. I haven't eaten crisps in a very long time. These were free. So they were £1.30 and I got them for free. So that's pretty good. So they will go into the cupboard. I can imagine that I will probably break into those by the end of the day because, man, I'm struggling at the moment. And I know a lot of it is because it's winter, it's very cold this year, it's very dark, it feels very oppressive, but there's also so much going on at the moment. I mean, what with cost of living and the mess of the economy and the state of politics everywhere at the moment, it's just weighing down, and I'm trying to block it out, but you know it's happening even if you're not watching the news and things. And then I realised this morning as I was laying in bed trying to muster up the energy to get out of my warm cosy bed that, you know, we're 3 weeks, we're 3 weeks until Christmas when I'm recording this. I think it's the 4th of December today, and I am dreading it this year. All sorts of reasons. And then there's the whole celebrate New Year thing. And we don't really celebrate New Year. I'm down at my parents'. They'll crack open a bottle of bubbly at midnight and we watch the rubbishy lights on the TV. And everyone criticises the lights because nobody likes them, but still watches them every year because what else are you going to do? And then everyone goes to bed, but seriously, there is nothing to celebrate about the New Year this year. It's, 2024 was pretty rough, but it was rough towards the end, or rougher towards the end, whereas next year is just a desert of awfulness. And I've had a couple of days this year but I've really struggled with it. And kind of reassessing everything. And I've already made some posts about what have I achieved in 2024, what are my goals for 2025, because you have to try and find the lights amongst all that murkiness. But yeah, I'm going to have to keep trying to convince myself of that because I don't feel it at the moment. I've got to stop selling to all of Europe and the Northern Ireland for my business next week, as of when recording this, because the EU have brought in new laws which means I can no longer sell to anywhere in Europe or Northern Ireland, and that affects all sellers, because they've brought in this new thing called the GPSR, which is basically where every product now going into Europe or Northern Ireland has to come with a full set of safety instructions, and you need to have a representative based in the EU to vouch for you, saying that your products are safe to use. There's no way of doing that. You have to pay people a lot of money, and for companies that have bases in Europe and maybe have other places, that's fine because they can be their own representative. When you're someone like me who works from home and just sells one-off things that they make, you're screwed. So all the small businesses who were shipping into Europe and can't fill in these criterias, that's it, that's gone. So now I can only sell from 13th of December outside of Europe, outside of Northern Ireland, in the UK and other bits of the world. So I can sell to the UK, I can sell further afield, so the USA I can do, Canada and Australia and places like that. But people don't buy from that far afield. When most of your products are smaller items maybe, but you end up with postage that's like 3 times the price of the item because shipping is so expensive now. People aren't going to buy it. So it's really focusing on, I have to sell more in the UK, but we're all in a cost of living crisis. Everything is hard right now. No one's got spare money unless they're billionaires, and no billionaire is going to buy from the likes of me. So I'm not sure how things are going to play out. This is why I have lots of little income streams, because I'm going to have to say, right, well, that's not going to get any better next year. We made improvements this year. We sold more this year. I was really pleased with that. It exceeded my expectations in terms of sales, but I can't see that happening next year because I'm losing income streams from my business in terms of where I can sell. So I'm going to have to focus even more hard on the other things that I do, and I have lots of little income streams and bits and pieces, so I can hopefully channel into that and fill the gaps that way. But I haven't thought a lot about it. It feels like, you know, I talk about having purpose, that having purpose is really important, that you need to have something to focus on to keep you motivated, like there's a reason for doing things. But at the moment, I'm struggling to find that reason beyond keeping a roof over my head, food on the table and keeping the bills paid. That's the only purpose I can see at the moment. And I know that it being in winter doesn't help. I can't get out and do other things that take me out of that headspace at the moment because the weather's just so awful. So you do feel kind of like really cooped up. So that's going to be a challenge for the rest of this year, and then I don't know about next year. I'm not even going to think about it because it's too depressing. Anyway, onwards and not so much upwards. Things to do, stuff to get on with. Let's get cracking. Yeah, so I'll put that up there, and at least I'll save some money on food.
Good morning. I am coming to you from a different camera. I don't know if the quality looks any different to you. I have a new phone. Well, I've already said I have a new phone, but finally I can start to use the new phone. So it's taken me 5 days to get this new phone properly set up so I can actually use it. I wanted to make sure that everything had transferred across properly, and I needed a new case so that this new phone doesn't leave the house until it has a case on it. Touch wood, no wood in here. I have never broken a mobile phone. I've never cracked a screen, touch wood, and I want to keep it that way. So I always buy a flip wallet case, and that protects my phone because they do get dropped occasionally, but this protects them. So it's taken 5 days for all sorts of reasons, a lot of it to do with tech, a lot of it to do with the fact that I just had so much to transfer on this phone as well. It turns out I have almost 80 apps on my phone, and a lot of that is survey sites, a lot of it is online banking. I have some banks which are just online only, and all sorts of other bits and pieces, just so much. So it took like half a day to do the smart switch where the two phones talk to each other and it prepares the information. It took ages to get it down, and then of course a lot of the apps that I use have to be re-verified on my new phone, like the banking. You can't just start using the app, you have to verify that the new phone you're using is now your primary phone, and you have to do that by various kinds of voice, password, fingerprint recognition. They often send you an email to double check that it is you who's now using that on the new phone, and some of that takes ages. I've got one banking app where I had to record myself saying a phrase on the screen, and then that has to be sent to the bank. This is the problem with all the scammers and the dodgy people, is that the layers of security now make things an absolute blooming nightmare. And of course all the other apps that I wanted to swap over, things like survey sites and this, that and the other, I don't know any of the passwords for any of these sites. I've had to reset almost every single password that has an app. The ones that are websites, it ported over all the sign-in details, but the actual apps, I don't know. So I've had to put everything in brand new again, start off with a new bunch of passwords. I mean, if I can't get into my own phone, nobody can. So So that's been fun. I've got one banking app where I can't seem to transfer it over, and the other irritation is that apparently PayPal is not supported on later Samsung Galaxy phones, which is really irritating because I use PayPal quite a lot. I get a lot of my survey payments through PayPal, which means instead of using the app, I now have to use the website version instead of the app, which is a little bit of a pain, but it's not the end of the world. I will cope. But it's just like, Samsung, why have you stopped letting PayPal work on your phones? I don't understand that. I'm not using it in the Samsung Pay. I know they got rid of it for that, but it doesn't work on anything now. So that's slightly irritating. But apart from that, it's all up and running. So that means I now have a new camera phone for recording things like this. I'm hoping it's going to be better. I'm hoping that when I'm doing the recording of me driving places, that will also be better. And I will test that out soon with a long journey and see what happens. I think this one copes a bit better with light, with movement. My old J3 was very old. It was 9 years old. Hadn't had a software update in most of those years, so it's not surprising it wasn't working very well. So I'm hoping that this one will now do the job. We'll see how we get on. So that's it really, that's kind of my update. Nice to have that all finally done. It did take a while though, and this is why I hate updating tech, because I mean the phone is relatively the same. There are some things that are different. There's not a hard home button that you press on the screen. You have to double tap the screen now to wake up the phone, but that's all right. I can cope with that. It's got a weird kind of beveled screen design, so it's quite a lot like the S7 Edge, which had like a curved edge. It's got a much chunkier screen with a side panel of extra menus, which I don't need. It's also got this Bixby thing, which I think is their AI, and it's got its own button on the side, and I don't want that, and I keep accidentally pressing it because it's all in the wrong places for me, because I'm a left-hander using it with my right hand, so I'm doing other things with my left hand. So I keep activating Bixby, even though I haven't installed it, and I have to keep shutting it down, so that's a little bit irritating. But everything else seems to work pretty well. I'm just getting used to where all the menus are and the bits that I need. It's a little bit more complicated, and it takes me a moment to find things where I used to know where they were. But yeah, that's it really. That's it. So hopefully, if everything goes to plan, no more tech for 4 years. Yay! Because I replaced my laptop last Christmas, and my last one was 5 years old, and I don't need anything else. Phone and laptop's all I need. It's quite enough tech in one household. This morning I went to Morrison's. Been using their Morrison's More app, and they're doing this 12 days of Christmas, so every day you open a new calendar window, an advent window. And a couple of days ago they had one for easy peelers. These were free. So these would have been £1.35, but they were free, so that's pretty good. And today's one was 500 points when you buy chocolate. Now, I don't normally do that. I don't normally fall for that. But for the last week, I have really, really wanted a Terry's chocolate orange. So I bought one. If this lasts the day, it'll be a miracle. It's one of those things I can't ration, and I love chocolate orange of any type. This was £2. £1.50 with the More card, and then I got 500 points back, which Doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm really close to cashing out my next fiver on Morrison's, so that's quite good. And then I bought a couple of discount things. There was some more of that tzatziki dip, 135 down to 68p. I like that. It's a cucumber yogurt dip. It's really nice. And I bought a lettuce. Was 89p down to 62. I'm a bit short on veggies at the moment for stir fries and things, so that bulks it up a bit. So this shop would have been £4.65, and with all the savings and things came to £2.80. So I'll stick stuff there, but I think that's pretty good actually. I don't feel too bad about that. And £1.50 for a chocolate orange. How often do I actually treat myself? Especially in food. Never at the moment. So that's a little Friday morning haul. Let's hope I can hold off on the Terry's chocolate for a bit. I need to ration it. A few pieces each day, but the problem is, as with all the sugary things, as soon as you start eating it, you can't stop. So I'm not expecting it to last that long. I managed to get that bag of crisps that I got for free the other day. That lasted 2 days. But they were good. I decided to try a new craft this week. It's decoupage the budget way. So I was gifted a load of Kenko and Downton Egbert's coffee jars. 2 sizes, I'll show you. Look at the size of these. These are great for, you can keep your rice in them, and I keep lentils and stuff, but they're also great in my studio for keeping crafting stuff in. But I was looking at some stuff on Pinterest, and I was looking at how I could decorate these to make them more interesting. I was thinking about candle jars, but without actually making the candles in them. So decorating these and then, you know, putting like a pillar candle inside or something. And I came across decoupage, which I've gone for the budget version because you have to buy all these special glues. You don't have to. And so I pulled out all the tissue papers and things that I have in my wrap bag. I keep all the wrap from Christmases and birthdays and hopefully try and reuse it. And I had this wrap that was from the White Company, and it's got buildings all over it, so I've made this. I like the texture on it. And what I need to do is put a candle in there, and at night those little buildings will all light up. Can you see them? You can see them on here. There. And all you need is kids craft glue. This is clear glue, but UPVA, the white stuff will do. And you just need a brush, and then you paint the glue on all the way around, and you lay your tissue on, and you use the brush to make it stick, and I put it around the bottom as well. And then when it's dried, I put another coat on over the top, and that seals it in. So I'm going to try a few of these. I was going to do them as gifts this year, but I'm not very organised this year at all. And I don't think I have enough of the right kinds of tissue to make some really nice ones. I'm going to have a look and see what I have, and then if I come across another one, I will record it at some point and put it on here, because this is a fun, really cheap craft. This is a really good use for disused tissue paper from presents and things, because you could actually just do ripped up pieces and collage it on as well if you've got various colours. So I might try one of those and do a set of them. So I've got these with the lids, and I think that's quite cute. And I think with the candle in there, that'll look really pretty. That's my new thing. I think that's the end of this update. Talked for long enough. I need to make these shorter, they're too long. I've got to stop talking so much. Anyway, that's this week's update. We're rapidly approaching in the middle of December when I am recording this. You'll probably see it later than that because my chronology is all over the place at the moment. I'm trying to cram everything in before the end of the year. And it's all over the place, so bear with me. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.